What's your name?
My name is Phyllis Sue Glover Turner.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite color?
My favorite color? Well, I would be wrong if I didn't say red, but I like blue also.
What kind of blue?
Kind of like a navy blue. I tend to go towards those things, jeans, slacks, and things. But red is the color I'm trying to brighten up colors that I wear. That's why I just got the red dress for my birthday. But I like color. I like violets, like a violet, like a light color purple. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I like purple. I have like some violets that I wear.
So
Black suit. Oh, baby.
do you have any dreams?
If I have dreams, I don't remember them. My memory isn't as great as it used to be, but it seems like sometimes during the day I'll think like, oh my God, did I dream that last night? Like something comes up in your mind. But I don't have, my sleeping habits are not that great. So I think I'm not reaching that REM sleep to have really good dreams, solid, long dreams.
Yeah. Are there any dreams you remember from childhood? Like recurring ones?
Right offhand, I can't think of anything.
Do you have any material dreams, like in the world? Like
things I want to do, I want to have? There's never, I can't think of anything that was that I desired that much, where I spent a lot of time dreaming about it. There were more so than, I think there were more than just things. It was opportunities, I would say, that I wanted to do, something I wanted to do, travel, being able to accomplish certain things in school. Sometimes even now I think about it, I didn't finish my master's, and it was just something that I always wanted to do. And I think about that. Remember, I think playing the piano? I started taking lessons later in life. I kind of wanted to do that. My grandparents had a player piano.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in their living, like this parlor, he called it. Because my grandfather was laid out in that parlor. They didn't have like a funeral home. The body was there. He would come by to visit. And I used to go in that room and play the player piano. You can pump it and it would play.
Oh, wow.
It would move. Everything. So it was always fun to act like I was playing as a kid. But
so it was geared to play on its own? Was it geared to play something?
Yeah, you could pump the pedal and it would play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was a kid. I was young. I used to go there to visit in the summer. But after he died and he was in that parlor, I was kind of afraid to go in that room by myself.
Oh, they left him in there?
Then,
Wow.
So I didn't go in there. But that was Nanny's house. They didn't have a piano at Mom and Pop's house. So that's where actually, as I grew older, that's where I would stay.
What is time?
What is time?
Yeah.
When I think about time. Time could be different things, Think about it. Time is passing of moments. Time. That's a deep question. I think time is, to me, is extremely important. It's valuable. You can't really put an amount on it because you can't get it back. It's something that you have to cherish. And to define it, it's those, how would you define it? Time is that opportunity that God gives us to accomplish certain things. And for some people, depending on where you are, time can be a burden. A burden, and that it can go very, you know what I mean, when it can go very slow.
Like if you're in jail or something.
Yeah. Time could be, I think it should be cherished though. Because when you waste time, it's something you can't get back. You know.
So,
Are you talking to them, Toby?
I think he is. I don't know who he's talking to.
That is interesting. I could think about
what do you? Yeah. What do you have hope in? What do you have hope in?
What do I have hope in?
Yeah.
I just have hope and belief in God, hope in humanity. There are a lot of things that are happening now that causes me a really serious concern. But I have hope that life, sometimes I have fears for my hope. I pray that I can hold on to hope because fears are the realities that we're faced with. Like global warming, I worry about what, but you know, if you have hope, if you have faith, you can push those fears aside. And that's just believing that God will bring you through the challenges that may appear to be there. So, hope is believing in something when you don't really see the results of what it will be, but you hope that it will be the best, for you and for your family. You can't give up hope. When you ask me, I guess my vocabulary is not expansive enough to come up with another word for it. It's believing. It's believing when you don't see it. You know? But you believe that it's possible. And hope keeps you going. You know? You become hopeless. Gosh. What keeps you getting up in the morning? Facing the challenges of each day. You have to believe it's worthwhile. And that's hope. That you can make a difference in what you do. Some people are hopeless so they don't try. You know, they don't feel the need to do something. So you always have to have hope and faith. Believe in a higher being. That God is there guiding and directing you. You know, that's the faith that keeps you going.
What's something new you've learned?
Something new?
Yeah.
Recently?
Yeah.
Let's see, what did something new that I learned? I'm sure there are things there. It's just that the old mind is forgetful sometimes, no? Let's see, what could I say was something new that I've learned? I think, you know, what I like to watch? I like to watch Jeopardy. It's basically, my routine is like in Norris and I, all these years, I sit down at dinner time, it's either Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. These two programs, you know. And there's always, see how many questions I could answer, which were very few. But like I say, my memory is such, every day I learn something new. When I'm watching Jeopardy, a question will come up, and I thought, wow, I didn't know that, you know. But if you ask me specifically what that was yesterday, I have to stop and think about it. So every day I do learn something different, you know, in passing, but I have to really give some thought to, like, what was that specific question that I learned that was different? You know,
Is there any advice that you hold on to?
yeah, there is. And I've told this story many, many times. I think as well, I finished nursing school before I married, and it was a 3-year diploma program, my nursing program. My parents could not afford to send me to college, but I was truly blessed that, and my mom, she really encouraged me, even though we didn't have the money to do it, but she would say, God will make a way. That was like her mantra, would always say, Phyllis, God will make a way. And sure enough, I went to school that first day of orientation. It was really a tea welcoming the new students. And the fees hadn't been paid. And she says, well, God's going to make a way. We're going. It's kind of scary when you know I was accepted, but the fees weren't paid. And so we went, and it was after the reception. She asked to speak to the director, and she told her that we were not able to pay the fees before the deadline. And she says, don't worry, I wish you would have called me earlier and all. And I was able to get loans to cover that, you know. So starting out just with the way my mom was, that God will make a way. That was always in the back of my mind. When it didn't look like you had a way, you just have to believe that He would make that way, some way possible. You just believe it, you know, enough. So as the years went on, we started to have kids. I always desired to get the degree, and I started taking classes. When Julie was little, I would take a class at a time, you know. I went to Wayne, to U of D, whatever class would fit into my schedule, you know, I would go. And as I was moving along, it's like, what area do I really want to work in? And my mom had a very good friend who was an anesthetist. And she would always tell me, you know, you should go to anesthesia school. You really should go to anesthesia school. And it wasn't until one day I was working with these doctors, and there was this lady that I met in the office. I was taught how to interview patients and check their vision and everything. There was one other little thing I learned, because these were two doctors that I knew from when they were residents. And so they gave me a job. I was doing work of what probably a nurse practitioner would do. I would see patients the night before surgery, and then I was first assist in surgery if they were ophthalmologists, because they didn't have residents. at the facilities they were going to. But one day I was in the office, and this was some information the lady asked me, are you going to continue to do what you're doing in here? Is this your career? I says, no, it's a part-time job, you know. And I says, I really want to go back to school. And I says, but, and always but would come in. I says, but, you know, I have 3 kids and I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to do that. And she looked at me and she says, honey, life is so short. Don't become an old lady like me and have regrets. Like saying, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. She says, really? If it's something you really want to do, as my mother would say, God will make a way. But you got to step out and take that first step to do it. And that conversation stuck with me. Don't let your life go by and have regrets, you know? And that's something I can say, if it's something you really want to do, think about it. Don't become an old man and have regrets because you never tried. You know? Because you don't know if you can do it unless you try. And actually that did. I mean, my excuses had been always, but I have 3 kids, can't afford it. But when I made my mind to do it, that didn't make any difference anymore. Didn't make any difference at all. And we had moved in this house. We moved in this house. Can you imagine moving in a new house and telling your husband you're going to go back to school full time? That basically is what happened. And he goes, well, how are you going to do that? He says, well, if I figure it out, would you just support me, you know?
So
don't have regrets.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
I was looking at your ring, and how did you meet Granddad, and how did he propose?
Oh my God. Now, there's 2 different stories. Norris has been taped about how he proposed to me, which I remember it being completely different. No, I met your granddad, oh my gosh. I was a student nurse. I was in my 3rd year? But I had his Uncle Bill, as a patient. And his uncle was a flirt. Oh my God. He was a handsome guy. Handsome guy, kind of muscular, you know, had a little mustache. When I would go into his room, he would say, well, hello there, you know. It would make me so uncomfortable. And back then, patients were in the hospital for a week or so, you know. They stayed in the hospital for a while, so I had him as a patient. And so I'm sure I had him at least 3 or 4 times. And it's like, how do I tell my instructor that I don't like to be with that guy? He's too, you know, kind of a flirt. So I had to learn how to handle patients like that. And he was my first one that was a flirt. And then he says, you've been so kind to me. He first really said, are you going to give me a back rub today? You know, oh my God. And then after a while he says, you know, when I get out of the hospital, I would like to take you to dinner. I'm thinking, oh my God.
How old was he?
Man. He was probably in his 50s or something.
Oh man,
and I'm
you were
like 20.
Yeah.
And I thought, if he came over to the nurse's residence, I would die.
Yeah.
He was handsome. He was an older man.
Yeah.
So he says this, and he says, are you dating anyone? I go, well, I was trying to think of a lie really fast. So he says, well, it's very obvious you're not interested in dating me. And he said something to the effect, well, I have a nephew. And I thought, oh my gosh, who would want to meet his nephew if he's anything like him?
Yeah.
So as that week went on, I didn't have him as a patient. And a friend says, say Phyllis, Mr. Turner wants to see you. It was always a joke that he would always ask others, is Miss Glover here today? That's my maiden name. And so I says, oh my God, what does he want? So I walk into his room, and who's there but Norris? I thought, oh my gosh. He was kind of a nice looking guy when he was younger too. He had more hair.
Yeah.
No, but he says, I told you I wanted you to meet my nephew. He goes, this is Miss Glover. This is my nephew. And I'm like, hi, nice meeting you. Boom, I'm gone. You know? So that was the meeting, the first meeting. And I would take the bus home, the Dexter bus home. And I don't know if I ever told Norris this, but after I got to know him, where he would get, I saw this guy get on the bus one day, and I thought, God, is that Mr. Turner's nephew? But he sat down in front. And he did say he would take that bus to Wayne sometimes, because he was going to Wayne at that time. But years go by, so 3 years, 2 years, and my friends were starting to get engaged and get married. And my best friend, Millicent, if you've heard me talk about her, she was married and living in an apartment on Broad Street, in the middle street. And her girl that she had met was recently married, named Doris Turner, who was Norris's sister. And they had gotten together to play cards, and Norris was over at her house one day, and so Millicent met him. And that's when she told him that she had a friend she thought would be perfect for him. So she gave him, I guess it was gave him my address, or was it gave him my address. He had to look up the information. Back then we had like a phone directory. You know,
yeah, the book, yeah.
So he looked up the address. She said she gave him my father's name, because I was still living at home.
Oh, okay.
So he sends me a Christmas card.
Oh, wow.
And the Christmas card, was a card from this church. The church was Central Methodist Church. A big church on Woodward. Actually, it was one of those, the church where Reverend Martin Luther King visited during the 60s, you know, the civil rights movement. But it was a picture of the church. And my sister, who was in middle school at the time, she says, who is this from? Yeah, your sister's always nosy. She goes, oh my, that's the church that Sharon Turner goes to. This was a girl that she was in middle school with. I said, Sharon Turner? She says, yeah. She said, her father's Dr. Edward Turner. He's OBGYN. And I go, really? This is Norris Turner. That's the guy that Millicent was telling me about. Then it hit me. Oh my God, could this be Mr. Turner's nephew I met in the hospital? Could this be? Because he talked about a nephew that was a physician. Matter of fact, he gave me his card. I just think OBGYN. In my room, I put it in my uniform. It was on my dresser. And one of the other nurse students came in and saw Dr. Edward Turner. He's with the DMC, not at Providence. Why are you going to an OBGYN that's not here? It was like, I started being kidded, like, you're not pregnant, are you? But, so I did put two and two together. And he sends a card, then he calls.
Oh, okay.
And then makes the date to come by. As soon as I saw him, it's like, oh, this is Mr. Turner's nephew. So that confirmed the second meeting.
Did y'all talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Because that is actually Uncle Bill, Norris was Uncle Bill's like favorite. Actually, Norris was a favorite for quite a few people, I found out. You know, it's just the way it was. Like on Vay, that was Dad Turner's sister in North Carolina. She always said Norris was her favorite. Because actually when we got engaged, she came to Michigan just to meet me. I thought, oh my gosh. Now you talk about how did we get engaged? Now he says we were at the 20 grand and he gave it to me at this club. That's not how it was. My sister was a debutante. And he came by to get me. They had gone on ahead. And he was bringing me a corsage. And I opened the box to get my corsage out, and there was my ring. That's how I remember. Because I was like, oh my God, it was just the two of us there when he gave it to me. And, but I didn't want to make a big deal of it that day because it was my sister's day. You know what I mean? It was her debutante. So I had to be really kind of cool about it and say like, look! Yeah, so that's how I remember.
How long were y'all married?
Oh my gosh, it would have been 55 years. Let's see, he died in 2009. And we married in 65. So 54 years. It was going to be 55 years.
Wow.
In September, he died in February. Long time.
Yeah.
I actually spent most of my life with him. You know, because I was in my 20s when I left home.
Do you have a favorite memory with him?
Favorite memory?
Or something that just sticks out that you want to share?
Oh my gosh, there were so many memories. Favorite memory. Well, I guess, you know, those earlier days. I'm trying to think of something that happened probably that was. God, there's so many memories now. You know, I was just trying to